Welcome to Art and Life. My guests today are George and Geoffrey Williams. Geoffrey is a singer-songwriter who has written for people like Michael Jackson, Dusty Springfield. He has his own albums on labels like EMI, 5 different albums, played the Montrose Jazz Festival. The man has filled Wembley Stadium. He is a loop master. If you want to dance, look no further. And George Williams has explored music in a more intimate way, investigating through education, looking at songwriting for people with mental health issues and how that helps. And for UNESCO, she has mapped and researched the performance history of the Ballarat region. So between them, they bring together a beautiful shared balance to living music. Welcome.
Thank you, Celia.
Thanks, Celia.
What an intro.
My pleasure. Now I have a question for you, and that is, what is your thinking on art in your life?
So, shall I go first?
Oh, go on then.
So art, for me, art and in my life is really art and life is the same thing in my experience. And the reason I say that is that art is an expression of the things that we wouldn't otherwise maybe be able to make sense of or express in a cohesive way. So visual art and music express those deeper emotions and maybe sometimes concepts that words and paragraphs can't express or can't make sense of. I think sometimes it has to be beyond words because it's a really immense experience being a human, and I think that's why we're being given art, is to be able to explore and connect with each other about those experiences of being human. And with music, for instance, music, if in neuroscience, if you look at a map of the brain and where does music happen in the brain, for instance, it's through everything, through the sheaths, through every part of your brain. So I feel that it's not something that can be separated, art and life. It really feels like the same thing. And also, I think we were chatting about this the other day. For me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, music is like breathing for us. So we can't imagine life without obviously breathing.
Yeah, wouldn't be tricky. Just a little tricky. It's like art is, I mean, speaking specifically from a musical point of view, music is survival to me. Well, it's food. I get fed by it. I can't imagine how I would go in the world without being able to express myself through music. And for me, it's quite a big experience listening to music because being a synesthetic person, nearly didn't say that, right? But yeah, so I experience chords as colour. So when I hear a specific piece of music conjure up specific colours to me. And so I actually have quite a physical experience with music. So I couldn't imagine living life without it, to have that experience, but B, to be able to express myself, as George said. There's so many things that music can say that words can't, and art generally. So it's a powerful thing.
Thank you. And what's your thinking on art in society?
Art in society. So I do think we haven't quite got it right. It seems to be very, art seems to be very peripheral. When I think, especially in the societies that we're living in, at the moment. Whereas I think it's a much more central thing, art. Why it's peripheral, I don't know. To have a chance to, when people talk about I'm not creative, you go, that's an impossibility. All humans are creative, and it's really important that we should expose ourselves to our creativity, to really dig into it in whatever way it comes out, because that is one of the things that I reckon keeps us all sane, and it helps keep the society balanced, is art. I think a society without art is like a society without food.
Or humour.
That's right. I can't imagine what that would be like. No laughing. Sorry, the crime.
So for me, my thinking about art and society is that it's something that brings us together. It makes us feel that we belong. It connects us as humans. And say, if you were singing in a choir, both of us have experiences of having the privilege to lead choirs, so we can really feel that in the room, that when we're singing together, we feel safe, because you wouldn't be singing if you were in danger. And I think that there's that very primal experience that when we're singing together, we know that we're working together as well. And when we're singing in harmony, and the rhythm's on and everything's working together, we have that deep sense of peace that we will survive as a species because we can cooperate. And I think that music has been given to us, I'm just talking about music at the moment, has been given to us as a society to really practice that working together and feel the beauty of that. And
taking that out into the out of just the music circle, but into the community. Musicians who play together know how to cooperate on a level that you can't explain. They can cooperate in a very, very interesting, very deep level.
Yeah, and there's a common goal. There's a unity. There's all those things, and I think that serotonin goes up when we're doing that together. And
good old Sarah.
and we feel more compassionate towards one another, and we want to be involved with each other on a different level. And I think that's a really important function of music. And you mentioned some of the projects that I've been involved with, and one of them was the music mapping, and through that I was learning about the role of musicians in First Nations culture, which is as a scholar. So that's like the library, or that was and is the library in an oral tradition. So imagine how many languages the messages had to travel from, say, Queensland down to Victoria and back, and all technological advances and major events and histories were transmitted down these song lines, and every minute detail of that, because it wasn't through language, it was through movement and music that this was being transmitted. Because of the language differences, obviously, they had to be very precise as a scholar to make sure that information was transmitted correctly. It wasn't like a jam session, like we might imagine. And so that's a really important function of music too. And I also, because I was looking at the history of music in this region from hundreds of years ago to now, I think that I could see how when the Europeans were here in the gold fields, how important music was as well. And it had a similar binding function, that it would bring people together. It would allow people to have memories of home, because they didn't have photography in the way that we do now. And so they'd sing a song about, my Bonnie or whatever it was, and that would conjure up all the things that they were missing from home. And I think that, it's not that long ago that music was the only way to really have those memories kept alive. You know, well, it wasn't the only way, but it was a really, really emotional way to do that. And we know that, you know, when we listen to music and suddenly we're 16 again, because that's the time we were listening to that, you know, we can feel the way music enters our lives in ways that that nothing else really does. Yeah.
Thank you for your really deep and knowledgeable thoughts about music. And I will just mention before we go, because of course you've made me feel like wanting to sing, the Virtual Soul Choir, which is because so many of us can't get together in choirs at the moment, those of us who want to sing together, you have also come up with a fantastic way of us all singing together. And I'll put up the information about your Virtual Soul Choir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks very much, team. And thank you for joining Art and Life. Cheers.